I mean, you could have hydroelectricity anywhere in the world. And then I started researching desalination and came up with various ways to capture the energy. And I wasn't so ignorant to not know that there might be a problem with, you can't just make this brine any old how and expect it to be a form of electricity. And then on the other hand, there's the Scottish Hydro, which pump at night and produce the electricity today, so that doesn't necessarily matter. So I filed a patent, and we've given it for a system with containers to capture the falling motion of brine. And I researched it for a while, and I came up with another aspect to the brine that all of a sudden made it rather special. I'm not quite being myself. I'm not quite sure why. So I'm conscious of I'm not going to like the presentation, but anyway, I came up with the second idea, and then I filed the patent for that, and that was also due to be granted, and I kind of felt that I didn't have the money yet, so I left it. And I refiled the patent much more recently, and I'm going to look at developing it again. And during the process of inventing that, I went to see the man who made the cloud condensation nuclei, and we discussed that project, and he just had mixed feelings about it. One of them being the main one that the academics came up with, not knowing who I was the assumption that you could just make brine, say with reverse osmosis, and you'd be able to make more energy than you produce, and you can't. I checked even in very deep parts of the world, of the ocean, I think it's not possible. Then with the second aspect, which I'll definitely come on to as part of I don't know if it'll be as much a show as a presentation, but we'll see. I just don't know. Because part of the story goes that as I was inventing this new brine gravity system, I invented what would be called a turbo pump for it, and all of a sudden and a container system. So there was a container system that held the brine, and that fell through the sea in a container, and that's what I was granted a patent for, because I kind of like the idea of them. And it wasn't very serious then, so I could like the idea of massive containers, because there are ways in which that would be cheaper than a hose or a pipe. And I didn't really think a hose would manage it, but that might not be true. But anyway, so as I came along, I sort of invented all sorts of little subsystems and realised they might be useful to do other things. And two of them came up that were really obviously quite valuable. And one of them is using containers to fetch deep sea cold water, because that can be used in ocean thermal energy conversion, which is a known proven technology that has been calculated to be able to provide as much as 100 terawatts of electricity. So that's like that's actually a major league primary producer known proven technology that's relevant to America. It's not relevant to the UK and anywhere in the tropics. So there's a slight, there is a disclaimer or two. And that technology uses a pipe that it's hard to believe, but it hasn't been commercialised successfully because it's too expensive. And there are resorts all over the world, like in the Maldives, French Polynesia, in the Caribbean, who could use it. And they pay so much for their electricity that it's quite compelling that you can make a business. And so I kind of went with that for a while instead, and I really developed the technology. And very strangely, it was because I have to delve into my personal life. Years and years ago, someone did actually lecture me on ocean thermal energy conversion. And the strangest thing that happened was that I invented the same thing twice, like without having meant to. I'd actually forgotten about the very idea that I'd had. It was even the reason why I went to university. And then I just I kind of put it on shelf because it was such a stretch. I kind of wish I hadn't, but I did get a degree for the reason that I had started having ideas of invention. So it does seem that it might just be it's either desperation because I can't think of anything else to do, or I'm really a bento, or a bit of both. But it does seem odd. I don't really think of myself as an inventor necessarily. It is like entrepreneurship. So, just at the minute there are two different ways of capturing electricity or deep sea cold water. One is with containers, one is with what I think is hoses, because a turbo pump can use hoses and not pipes. And we did a test a few years ago, and I installed, literally with a dinghy, I installed 30 centimetre diameter hoses, massive ones from China. The hose cost $5 a metre. 30 centimetre hoses are big enough to save a resort a fortune. And there is a 30 centimetre hose of pipe in Bora Bora that cost $5 million or pounds, so I can't remember which. And I installed, well, easily could have installed a kilometre before it became more than a two-man job or too much for my boat, for the cost of the labourer, which was £60. So it's definitely captured imagination, so we're interested to commercialise it. I teamed up with a professor, this very professor of the cow condensation nuclei, who has done work for Intellectual Ventures, and